today, we're diving into a major new renewable energy project in South Africa. But, this is more than just another solar farm. It's really a story about how industry is starting to power itself in a completely new way.
And that's because something pretty fundamental is happening in South Africa's energy economy. A huge structural shift is underway. And the project we're looking at today, well, it's the perfect example of what that shift looks like on the ground.
So let's break down this new power player, shall we? We're going to look at who's driving this, exactly what they're building, and the timeline they're working against. And believe me, this project is moving fast. The financing is all locked in, and construction has already kicked off. They've got a two-phase plan to keep things rolling, with the second phase set to start in the latter half of 2026. So who's behind all this? The driving forces here are a Norwegian renewable energy company called Scatec, and they're operating through their joint venture, Lyra Energy. These are the folks financing and building this whole thing, and they have a very specific target: South Africa's industrial sector. And that brings us to the Thakadu Solar Power Plant itself. Now, the key thing to understand is that this isn't designed to feed the national grid. Nope, this is a private, industrial-scale project built for one reason: to supply electricity directly to large commercial and industrial customers. Okay, now let's get into the nitty-gritty of the project itself. To really get why this matters, you have to understand the sheer scale of what they're building. We are talking about 255 megawatts of power. For a privately developed solar installation, that is absolutely massive. It makes this a truly significant new piece of infrastructure for the country. And the construction itself is super methodical. Like we saw in the timeline, phase 1 is already a go. Phase 2 is slated to begin later this year, which ensures a really steady, planned rollout of all this new capacity. This is where it gets really interesting. This project is about so much more than just putting up solar panels. It's about pioneering a completely new business model for how companies get their energy. And this quote really hits the nail on the head. For big, energy-hungry sectors like mining and manufacturing, having a reliable power source isn't just some nice-to-have, it's a strategic necessity. It's about survival and growth. And the old way of getting power, it just isn't cutting it anymore. So think about it like this. The traditional model meant you were totally reliant on the state utility. You were subject to grid instability, those unpredictable power cuts that can shut down a factory in an instant, and you had to go through these complex state-run programs. Lyra's model flips that script. They supply power directly to their corporate clients, bypassing all those old headaches. And for the companies who sign on, the advantages are just huge. They get a secure, long-term supply of electricity, which protects them from that grid instability. It helps them nail down their costs. And maybe the biggest thing, they get access to massive amounts of green energy without having to build a giant solar farm themselves. Okay, so this is obviously great for the companies involved, but what about the bigger picture? What kind of ripple effect does a project like this have on South Africa's economy as a whole? And this is really the key takeaway. The Thakadu project is more than just new infrastructure. It's a powerful signal that the very structure of the energy market is changing, moving away from a purely state-controlled model. Let's just quickly break down those economic implications. First, you're adding 255 megawatts of new capacity. Second, it's all funded with private capital, which is a huge deal. Third, it makes industries more competitive by giving them reliable power. And fourth, it pushes the whole country's energy transition forward. It's a win-win-win-win. When you put it all together, projects like Thakadu are cementing South Africa's reputation on the world stage. They're sending a clear message that the country is a key destination for private investment in renewables, backed by real, large-scale projects that are actually getting built. And that leaves us with a really fascinating question to think about. We're seeing this model work in South Africa, providing stable, green, and privately funded power. Could this be the new blueprint for unlocking industrial growth and energy security right across the African continent? It's a development that could seriously reshape the future of energy in Africa.